Before I get started with the review, I wanted to quickly go over a VR stand that Kiwi Design sent to me. So my organization of my VR setup has never been that great, but I really do like this stand. It was easy to set up, sturdy, and has some places to store your controllers. I believe it was made with the Oculus Quest in mind, but I tried it out with my Vive Pro and Index controllers, and it seemed to work just fine. If you're looking for a good storage system, I would definitely recommend this stand, and I'll leave it in the description. So Into the Radius is a hardcore survival VR game in the vein of Stalker or Fallout. It's open world and it has a lot of places that you can explore, and it was built for the ground up with VR in mind, unlike something like Fallout VR. This review will be split up into 3 sections of graphics, sound, and gameplay, and then I'll get my final score at the end. There'll be timestamps in the description so you can skip to any section. Alright, on to the review. First up is graphics. I really like the graphics in this game, especially the weather effects. I don't think I experienced all of them, but while you're exploring it might be foggy, there'll be storms and different effects going on. Now one of the main things in this game is this radius or this giant orb thing in the sky in the middle of the map, and it's unbelievably creepy while you're in the game. The textures for the landscape, water, and broken down buildings are also very nice looking, and I really enjoyed how realistic they looked. The only real issue I had with the graphics is some of the enemies are a bit generic looking. I believe there's a beta 2.0 version where there's some more variety, but I didn't get the chance to play that yet. But on the default version, they were kind of basic. They were super creepy looking, but not super detailed. So moving on to sound. This is one of the areas where this game shines. The sound effects in this game are close to a masterclass in my opinion. I don't want to sugarcoat it. The sound in this game will scare you shitless. When you're walking through a broken down town and you hear some scuffling behind you, you're going to pee your pants. There's even some audio tapes you can find scattered around the radius that will help flesh out the world, and I really don't want to spoil it, but it's awesomely creepy. The weather sound effects in this game also sound close to real life in my opinion. I like the enemy sounds despite it scaring me all the time. Overall, I really enjoyed the sound here despite being in a constant state of having a heart attack. And finally, gameplay. So if you're new to this channel, I've been using VR for a very long time, so I've experienced almost every kind of VR mechanic that is currently available today. Nothing really surprises me anymore in VR games. This game surprised me with the VR mechanics, and I really hope that other developers take note in the future. First and foremost, this is a survival game, so you're going to need to maintain your fatigue, health, hunger, etc., and there's limited ammo. The basic gameplay loop revolves around taking on missions to get money, going out into the open world to collect stuff and scavenge for gear, and then buying more stuff so you can survive longer and become a better stalker. If you die out in the radius, you can either reload from a save or reload from the main base where you'll lose some of the stuff you had on you. The missions are also pretty interesting and you can run across some really cool looking locations. The shooting mechanics are also quite good. Now where the game really sets itself apart is the inventory and gun management system. So we'll start with the inventory system. You have several options to store items that you find in the world. You have a magazine pouch and small side pouch on your body that won't fit bigger items, and then you have a VR backpack. Now there are some other VR games that have utilized a backpack before like Saints and Sinners, etc., but they use a slot system. This one has no slots. Now you can abuse this and basically stack everything in the game world into your backpack, but this will hurt you in a couple of ways. One, there's a weight system, so the more you have in your bag, the slower you'll go and the faster you'll run out of fatigue, which could mean the difference between life and death if you need to run away and have no more ammo. 2, if you don't organize your backpack, you will be physically digging through your bag for stuff you need, which could also mean death. Now, in my opinion, this is the most realistic inventory system that I've ever seen in a VR game to date, and I really hope other people use this type of system for future VR games. Now, the other mechanic that I have very rarely or ever seen in a VR game is this bullet and gun maintenance system. So when reloading a gun, you can't just reach down and take a new magazine like in other games. Gun magazines are limited in the world just like everything else. It's a physical object that you can actually manipulate, and you will need to physically reload the gun magazine and then put it in your gun. This means that if you don't take the time to reload some magazines and put them on your pouch, you may end up loading an empty magazine and die. This also means you're going to need to keep empty magazines when in a fight. You can't just discard them because you're going to need them for future fights later. You will also need to maintain guns since they break down over time. This is done completely physically, so you will need to periodically grease up your gun to keep it in tip-top shape and functioning. Or you may find yourself in a situation where the gun jams mid-fight and you die. Everything in this game is well thought out from a VR perspective, and it all feels very physical. I absolutely love it despite half the time being scared shitless, because it is a scary game at times. I just want to keep playing because it's so thrilling to survive in this world. The only issue I had was some occasional bugs, and it also doesn't have support for the bhaptics Vest. I'm hoping support comes in the future, as it would be perfect for the immersion factor that it seems to be going for. Into the Radius is now one of the best VR games I've played to date, and I don't say that lightly. Sure, the graphics aren't as high def as something like Half-Life Alyx, and the gunplay isn't as fluid as H3 VR, but there's real innovation here with the inventory system, the scavenging, and the gun maintenance system. These mechanics tie together in a way which makes it an incredibly realistic and frightening experience in my opinion. And despite me being scared shitless the majority of my time playing this, I just want to go back in and get that adrenaline rush. It's not a perfect game, but for me, this game is a 10 out of 10. If you like this review and want to see more of this type of content, let me know in the comments, or if you hated it, let me know that as well. I stream on Twitch sometimes and I'm also pretty active on TikTok. You can find it under my handle, GingasVR. Alright, that's it. Bye!